You know, when you reach 73, you've got plenty of time to sit back and think about all those matches, all those opponents you faced over the years. People are always coming up to me asking about the greatest players I ever went up against. That's one kind of question, sure. But when they ask about the toughest ones, the guys who really made me dig down deep and work harder than I ever wanted to, well, that's a completely different conversation. This isn't about who I looked up to or who had the most beautiful game to watch. This is about the players who made me sweat blood just to beat them, the ones who kept me tossing and turning at night while I tried to figure out how to crack their style and finally get the upper hand. There are 5 guys who really stand out in my mind, and I'm not putting them in any particular order because honestly they were all tough as hell in their own unique ways. Each one brought something different to the court that made my life miserable. Let me tell you about these 5 warriors and what made them so damn difficult to beat. Let me start with someone that might actually surprise people. Aile Nastase. Now Nastase and I, we were friends, really good friends actually. We were partners in crime, you could say. We won Wimbledon doubles together back in '73, then the US Open doubles in '75. We traveled the circuit together, partied together, raised absolute hell together wherever we went. And you know what? That friendship made beating him one of the hardest things I ever had to learn how to do. See, when you're too close with someone, when you're genuine buddies off the court, you don't naturally go out there wanting to destroy them. There's always this little voice in the back of your head saying, come on now, he's your friend, take it easy. That kind of hesitation will absolutely kill you in professional tennis. It killed me for quite a while actually. I lost the first 8 matches against Ili. 8 straight losses. He was 6 years older than me, already an established star when I was just coming up on tour. I was just some kid from East St. Louis trying to make a name for himself, and he made me look absolutely foolish out there. His talent was just unbelievable to watch. The movement, the variety of shots, the touch he had on the ball. He could hit literally any shot in the book. Slice, topspin, drop shot, lob, and he'd mix them all up in a single rally. You never had any idea what was coming next from him. He was like a magician performing out there. And I was the kid sitting in the audience going, how the hell did he just do that? It was frustrating beyond belief. My mom finally had to sit me down and have a serious talk. Gloria doesn't mess around with her words, never has. She looked at me and said, listen, if you don't step up and beat him, he's going to lose all respect for you. That really woke me up. I realized right then that I had to completely separate friendship from competition in my mind. When we stepped on that court, Ili couldn't be my buddy anymore. He had to be the enemy, the guy standing between me and what I wanted to achieve. The thing about Nastase that was so frustrating was that he genuinely had everything you could possibly need to be the greatest player who ever lived. The raw talent, the athleticism, the shot-making ability, all of it. But his mental side, his temperament, that's what let him down. When he was focused and locked in, he was absolutely unbeatable. But when he lost his cool and his mind started going, he'd completely unravel right in front of you. We had some absolute wars over the years. I remember 1977 at Caesar's Palace, the WCT final. We're going at it hard, really battling, and I'm giving him hell verbally during the match, trying to get under his skin. He finally fires back at me with, you don't want to fight, go get your mother. Can you believe that? We nearly came to actual blows right there on the court. That's how fiery and intense it got between us, even though we were supposedly friends. Eventually I figured him out, started winning more matches. But it took years and a whole lot of pain and frustration to get there. Now, Bjorn Borg, that matchup was fire and ice meeting on the court. We were complete opposite personalities, and maybe that's exactly why he was so incredibly difficult for me to handle. I'm all fire, pure emotion yelling, fighting with the crowd, arguing with the umpire, even arguing with myself sometimes. He's ice, completely calm, stoic, showing no expression whatsoever. I'm the rebellious kid from the wrong side of the tracks, rough around the edges. He's the traditional gentleman, the perfect fit for Wimbledon's image, respectful, polite, follows all the rules to the letter. That sophisticated British crowd absolutely loved him. Me. I thrived in the US Open atmosphere with the rowdy crowds and that New York energy. Our styles, our personalities, everything about us was different. It made our matches absolutely fascinating for people to watch, but it also made him incredibly hard to rattle or intimidate. You simply can't intimidate a statue, and that's what he was out there. Tactically speaking, he drove me absolutely crazy with his approach. He had this patient defensive game where he was always just waiting for my mistakes instead of forcing the issue. That heavy topspin he hit made the ball bounce up high and awkward, right around my shoulder level, which was uncomfortable. The long rallies wore me down physically over time. He never gave me easy pace to attack like I wanted. I always wanted to take the ball early, step inside the baseline, and just rip it. But he made me wait, made me grind, forced me to create everything from absolutely nothing. His two-handed backhand was so damn consistent it was maddening. He could rally all day long and never miss a ball. That '77 Wimbledon final still haunts me to this day. It was a 5-set war that went over 3 hours. He gets up 4-love in the fifth set, and I'm completely dead out there. Everyone in the stadium thinks it's over, that I'm finished. Somehow I managed to claw my way back to 4-all. The momentum has completely shifted to my side now. The crowd's going absolutely crazy getting behind me. Then somebody from the stands makes some comment, and I turn around and answer them. That was a huge mistake, maybe the biggest in my career. I lost my concentration for maybe 30 seconds, that's all it was, but I ended up losing 8 of the next 9 points, and just like that the match was over. All I needed was 10 more minutes. Just 10 more minutes for me to catch my breath and recover. 10 more minutes for him to maybe get tight and start feeling the pressure, but I gave it away with that moment of stupidity. I learned a really hard lesson that day about focus. You have to keep it only on the court, only on what's happening in front of you. Never let the outside stuff creep in, not for even a second. Nothing ever fazed Borg though. That ice-cold demeanor was his greatest weapon against someone like me. I'm out there screaming, fighting, smashing rackets, acting like a madman. He's just taking a peaceful Sunday stroll through the park, like nothing's bothering him at all. It drove me absolutely nuts, but that was his strength, and he knew it. He won our last 10 matches straight before he retired. I couldn't solve the puzzle before he walked away from the game at just 26 years old. We split the big finals 2-2 overall. He beat me at Wimbledon in both 77 and 78. I got him back at the US Open in 76 and 78. But that 77 Wimbledon loss, that one still stings deep even now. John McEnroe, now that was a completely different beast altogether. Fire and fire, that's what we were, and that's what we still are to this day. We were so damn similar, it was actually scary when you think about it. Both Americans, both lefties, both fighters who left to battle, both bad boys who didn't give a single damn what the tennis establishment thought about us. The media absolutely loved building up the rivalry, playing it up for the cameras. But I'm telling you straight, the tension between us was genuine and real. For years, we genuinely didn't like each other at all. This wasn't some soft, manufactured rivalry where we hugged at the net and smiled for the cameras. This was real animosity. No hugs, no kisses, no pretending on the court or off the court. There was genuine bad blood between us. I remember before a Wimbledon semifinal back in 77, he was only 18 years old then. This up-and-coming qualifier who'd made this incredible run through the draw that nobody expected. He comes up to me in the locker room trying to introduce himself, probably being polite. I grabbed my bag and rackets and walked right past him without even looking at him. No smile, no hello, no handshake, absolutely nothing. If I could get in his head and rattle him before we even stepped on court, I was going to do it. That's just how it was between us back then, no mercy. What made Max so dangerous and difficult to play? His serve and volley game was at the absolute highest level possible. The touch, the feel he had at the net, it was unbelievable to watch even as his opponent. He could hit angles that I genuinely didn't think were physically possible on a tennis court. He was athletic as hell, incredibly quick at the net with amazing reflexes. That lefty serve with the wicked slice came at you from everywhere. Wide angles, right at your body, down the tee. You never knew what was coming. And his return game was as good as mine, maybe even better if I'm being completely honest. And that absolutely kills me to admit, but it's the truth. He took away my biggest weapon, which was my return. He won 12 of our last 14 matches against each other. 12 out of 14. That stat right there tells you the whole story of how it ended between us. He caught me right as he was hitting his absolute peak, and I'm already past 30 years old and starting to decline. In our prime years when we were both at our best, we split things pretty evenly back and forth. But those last meetings, he just dominated me completely. Wimbledon 1982 though, that match was my sweetest victory over him and one of the highlights of my whole career. I hadn't won a Grand Slam tournament in 4 years at that point. People in the media were already writing me off, saying Connors is done, it's time to retire and step aside. Mac was #1 in the world, only 23 years old, at the absolute peak of his powers. Grass was his best surface too, his natural home. I beat him in 5 sets, 3-6-6, 3-6-7, 7-6, 6-4, just back and forth the whole match. It was incredible tennis from both of us. I dug deeper than I dug in years, found something extra inside myself in that 5th set, and beat him on his best surface when he was playing his best tennis. That victory proved to everyone, including myself, that I wasn't finished yet, that I still had something left. It re-established me as a legitimate contender at the majors. I even went on to win the US Open later that year, which felt amazing. It was my last great hurrah before the younger generation really took over completely. 2 years later at Wimbledon in '84, the roles were completely reversed and Mac got his revenge. He absolutely destroyed me that day, beat me 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 in just 81 minutes. It was complete and total humiliation in front of the Wimbledon crowd. It was one of the greatest individual performances ever seen on that center court. That was Mac at his absolute untouchable peak. And it was savage revenge for what I'd done to him in '82. Eventually, over the years, respect grew between us as we got older. We realized that we'd pushed each other to become better players than we would have been otherwise. We actually play exhibitions together now and can even laugh about the old battles and arguments. But that competitive fire, it's still burning in both of us even now. Ivan Lendl and I, we didn't get along. We never did, and we probably never will, to be honest. But damn, he was tough to play against. I beat him in the first 8 matches when he was just a rookie coming up on tour. I was the established star at that point, and he was still learning the ropes and figuring things out. I pushed him around physically and mentally, intimidated him every chance I got. After there was some bomb scare incident, I started calling him Ivan the Chicken, and that nickname stuck around for a while. I enjoyed every single minute of getting under his skin like that. Then the tables turned completely, and he got his revenge. He won the last 17 matches straight against me, 17 in a row. That's not just coincidence or luck, that's total and complete domination. He'd figured me out completely, studied my game, and found all the weaknesses. Plus I was getting older and slower, which didn't help. That's a bad combination when you're facing a young lion who's hungry. What made him so incredibly tough to beat? He was bigger than me, physically stronger, a complete physical specimen, really. He was a fitness machine who never seemed to get tired no matter how long we played. He'd play these high, slow balls with heavy topspin, or he'd slice it low and keep everything away from my natural strike zone. He gave me absolutely no pace to work with at all. Every rally became long and grinding, all played exactly his way. Baseline to baseline, just waiting and waiting for my era to come. I'm naturally an explosive type of player. I want short points and quick strikes where I can end it fast. He made everything long, physical, exhausting, like running a marathon in the heat. That frustrated me like crazy and made me impatient. And that's exactly when the errors start coming and the match slips away. But before he took over and dominated me, I got mine back in the early days. US Open finals in both 82 and 83, I beat him back-to-back in my home tournament. In 82, he just beaten Mac in the semifinals, and his confidence was sky high coming into the final. I wasn't about to let this kid make his name at my expense in New York. I won in 4 sets and sent him home disappointed. In 83, same story, my house, my tournament, my rules. He actually served for the 3rd set and I broke him right back. Then he completely collapsed mentally. He lost the 4th set, 6-love, just gave it away. Those were my last 2 Grand Slam titles at 30 and 31 years old, which felt special because I knew time was running out. Then came 1984 at Forest Hills, and that was the worst loss of my entire career, no question. He beat me 6-love, 6-love in just 52 minutes. A double bagel in front of my home crowd. I only won 16 points in the entire match. 16 points total. That's when I knew for certain that age was really catching up with me, and my body wasn't responding like it used to. Ivan the Chicken Lendl had gotten his revenge and then some. I'm still bitter about that loss even now, I'll admit it. But he earned his success and became a great champion, winning 8 Grand Slams over his career. I just wish he hadn't used me as his practice dummy to get there. Arthur Ashe only beat me once in 7 matches we played, just one single time. But it was the one that mattered more than any other. Wimbledon 1975, right there on center court. I was the defending champion, ranked number 1 in the world, only 22 years old and feeling invincible. I hadn't dropped a single set getting to the final that year. Arthur was 31, past his prime really. He was sentimental favorite though. Everyone loved Arthur because he was such a gentleman, a Davis Cup hero, a total class act on and off the court. Everyone expected me to embarrass him pretty badly in the final. But there was actual bad blood between us that people might not know about. We had a $5 million lawsuit going on at the time. There was this whole Davis Cup controversy where I didn't play, and he was the captain of the team. He'd said in the press that I was unpatriotic for not playing, so I turned around and sued him and the whole ATP. This wasn't just another tennis match for either of us. It was deeply personal, and there were real emotions involved. Arthur completely changed his entire game plan for that final, which showed real intelligence. Normally, he was a big server, an aggressive attacking player who came forward. But he'd watched my semifinal match against Roscoe Tanner and saw that power didn't work against me at all. I actually fed off big pace and hit it back harder. So Arthur did the exact opposite of what anyone expected. He junk balled me to death out there. He kept everything low, soft, with no pace whatsoever. He took away everything that I fed off and thrived on. It drove me absolutely crazy, and I couldn't adjust fast enough. I lost the first 2 sets 6-1, 6-1, right there on center court at Wimbledon, as the defending champion. It was the most embarrassing moment of my career up to that point, and I felt humiliated. I fought back and managed to win the 3rd set, showing some pride and fight. But he stuck with his plan with incredible discipline and mental strength. He beat me 6-1, 6-1, 5-7, 6-4 when it was all said and done. It was a tactical masterpiece, a clinic in how to play the right strategy against a specific opponent. And it meant something way bigger than just tennis that day. Arthur became the first black man to ever win the Wimbledon singles title. It was a huge moment in sports history, in civil rights, in breaking down barriers that had existed for decades. And I was on the wrong side of that historic moment, playing the role of the villain in a story that transcended tennis. That was really hard to accept at just 22 years old when you think you know everything. But he had the courage to completely change his entire game plan on the biggest stage in tennis, against the defending champion who was favored to win. That takes real guts and courage. That takes intelligence and belief in yourself. I had to respect that even through all my anger and frustration about losing. I actually dropped the lawsuit shortly after that match. What was the point anymore? He'd beaten me fair and square when it mattered most, and I had to accept it. He taught me a valuable lesson that day that I carried with me the rest of my career. Pace isn't everything in tennis. Power isn't everything either. Tactics matter just as much. Mental preparation and game planning matter. Having the courage to stick with your plan even when things get tight, that matters more than anything. It was the only time he ever beat me in our careers, but boy was it unforgettable for everyone who watched it. So those are my 5 toughest opponents when I really think back on everything. Looking back now at 73 years old, I can see clearly what they all had in common. Every single one of them took away my pace somehow, in their own unique way. That's the key to beating me, always was. I'm a counterpuncher by nature and style. You give me a fastball with pace, and I'll hit it back at you even harder. These 5 guys figured that out and adjusted accordingly. Borg with his heavy topspin and infinite patience. Ashley with his soft balls and changing speeds. Lendl with those high moon balls that I hated. Mac attacked the net so fast, I had no time to set up and rip my shots. Nestace changed speeds and spins constantly, so I never got comfortable. And none of them cracked mentally when it mattered most, which was huge. I could intimidate most players on tour with my intensity in my mouth. These guys were either stone cold like Borg, or they fought fire with fire like Mac did. Either way, they didn't break under pressure when I turned up the heat. They made me a much better player than I would have been without them. I had to find new ways to win, new strategies, new mental approaches. They pushed me to my absolute limits every single time we played. And honestly, without having worthy opponents like that, what's the point of competing? What's the point of showing up if it's going to be easy? Maybe I lost to them more times than I wanted to over the years, and believe me, that still bothers me. But I won plenty too when I had to. I beat Mac and Lendl when it mattered most for my career and legacy. Borg and I split the biggest finals down the middle. Nestace taught me early lessons about separating friendship from competition. Ashley taught me humility and respect when I needed it most. At 73 years old now, I can sit back and really appreciate what they brought out in me as a competitor and as a person. But I'm still competitive enough to remember every single loss like it was yesterday. That fire will never change, it's just who I am. These 5 guys made me earn every single victory I ever got against them. Nothing came easy. Nothing was handed to me. If what I accomplished in my career isn't good enough for people, then let it go. I don't care anymore. But I left everything out there on that court against these guys. Every ounce of effort, every bit of heart, every last drop of fight I had in me. That's what I'm most proud of when I look back on it all.